All right, today's topic, how to gain respect.
Work hard.
Yeah, work hard. Work hard, don't
That's
worry about
that's the,
it.
that's the short answer everybody comes up with. If you work
I
hard
mean,
and keep your nose
because
clean, you'll get respected.
there is there's such a mystery around how do I gain respect? As
Yeah.
in, yeah, work hard, good start. That even rhymes. Work hard, good start. And here's the thing also, what I often get with on this topic is, let's say someone is building a business and they say, oh my God, I work out from my garage and I don't really have an office space. And what will people think? And they won't respect me because I don't have a nice office space. I'm not at this stage yet, and these type of things that they think, oh my God, of course, if you have a nice office space, it does induce a certain level of trust, but it can also be facade. Some people have beautiful office spaces, and you don't know what's behind the office space. Um, and then you find people like Ashkan Tashbir from Engenesis when he started his business. He had a small office space on within a furniture shop, and still he got people like us, very accomplished people, I can say, to join him. So
Hmm.
obviously he gained our respect without having a nice office space. So there's something to think about. So what is it that he did different that we respected him?
Well, it's
It's just
interesting, isn't it? Because um, you know, when I'm presenting the Andrea method, I talk about that people have been told that to be successful, they have to work hard. They have to have a vision that'll bring you to tears. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. These are the things that you're told that are intrinsic to success. And well, the point we're trying to make with the Andrea method is there's an ingredient missing in there, and that's taming your internal chatter. How you talk to yourself is how you present yourself. If you're constantly criticizing yourself and constantly down on yourself, then you can expect that this is going to come out in the language that you use. And you think that's going to hurt the respect you get from others? Absolutely, it will. Whereas if you use Ashcan for an example, Ashcan would gather respect if he was working out of a alleyway somewhere. Simply because when he opens his mouth, he uses his words wisely.
and and you can see that he is not just empty chatter. There's something that stands behind him. You can virtually feel the authenticity. You can sense or get a grasp on his wisdom and knowledge about things, and that shines through the darkest alley and the
Mm,
tiniest little office. Um,
mm.
but also it also starts, I mean, it definitely is absolutely correct. I do agree with all of that. Um, and what I, the way it comes across to me also is then I see people saying, so how do I gain respect? Like I gain respect. Well, I think, well, first you also have to respect others to be able to gain respect. I mean, others, who deserve respect.
Mm, mm.
Um, and if it's just about me, how do I gain respect? How do I become more successful? I need respect from others. It also comes across to others that people are sort of scavenging for respect or for something, and people who are successful or have a certain level of experience, they find out very quickly whether the person is respect worthy or not. And you want to be, I like to be respected by a person. We respect each other. So I don't have to go and fish for respect. I just, respect others for who they they are, and I do the hard work.
Yeah, look, that reminds me of one of the worst mistakes I ever made in a leadership position. I let it be known that I didn't have a lot of respect for my leaders. So that then granted permission or set up a situation where people felt far more comfortable disrespecting my position. Because after all, I was free with my disrespect further up the line. And what I learned from that is that the factors that make a good leader are the same factors that make a good follower. It's be aware of your surroundings, be aware where you're at, and watch what you say. Because as Huffer says, the words we speak become the house we live in. And I think that when we disrespect others, as you just pointed out, whether they be colleagues, whether they be our upline, whether they be whoever, then we're only bringing that back on ourselves. Yeah. It was my inadequacy, which I owned, that put that situation into being. What did I do about that? Because it was reversible. I owned it. I owned it in front of my staff and said, no, that was wrong with me.
Yeah.
That was wrong. I may not agree with what is being done, but there was no need for me to be disrespectful.
Yeah. And this also accounts for people where you think of them, well, I can't respect this person. This person is not authentic, or they are a liar, they have a hidden agenda. I can understand that, but you can still hold them to account rather than maybe being disrespectful with them. You hold them to account. So you show up as the leader, and you can still respect them as a person. And make certain decisions around that, where you say, okay, they have hidden agendas, they're not really honest, I won't do business with them. I don't gossip behind their back or talk negative, but I hold them to account.
But again, you've got to look and say, well, okay, well, if I have to stay here in this situation, then I have to operate. I can hold them to account, as you say. Be careful about the language you use around it, because they will be listening and it will be used against you. And look, honestly, I'm chewing up the popcorn at the moment with the situation in America. And you want to talk about respect at the NAJBJ conference, where Donald Trump came onto the stage there and just laid in. Okay, those reporters still called him sir, still addressed him as the former president. They didn't go low. They held their dignity no matter what, and they held his dignity as well, even though he seemed fairly intent on throwing that away. Nevertheless, that's the situation. And another great example of it was Kamala Harris's response to Trump's attack on her ethnicity. Same old game. It's like, okay, that's it, and say it to my face. I think you go high when others go low. You go high. I know it's hard sometimes. It's really hard.
It is. I get this. I mean, we look at the world stage. We look at these leaders. And it's very hard to remain respectful with them. But I think your behavior should always be with, as you said, with dignity and with respect. But they're not behaving like what I would expect from leaders, or want to be leaders of the biggest economy, or still the biggest economy of this planet. They don't look like leaders to be respected. You want to, not respect them.
I'd love to get into a conversation with them and point out their inauthenticity And but then again, part of their game is yeah. Look, I don't want to go down
Yeah, we
rabbit
can go down
rabbit hole to
that rabbit
any
hole.
great extent. But I
But
think
it is,
one of the things that I wanted to just pop in there, if I may, Jacqueline, is that there's an old chestnut that says respect the office, not necessarily the incumbents. You may not like the
mm,
incumbent, but when you're
mm,
talking to the President of the United States, it's
it's
Mr.
still,
President or former President. It's his title. He has it. Like it or lump it, he's Mr. President, and it's incumbent on you to show respect to that office. And if you
yeah.
don't, looking in the mirror and saying, how do I get respect? Because that's the topic today. How do I gain respect? Well, if you're not
Yeah,
showing it,
you're not
you ain't
gaining
getting
it.
it.
That's right.
And when you
Um,
talk about it from a boss's point of view, how does a leader get the respect of their staff? Starts by respecting them.
yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, and as a leader, you are so you kind of stick out like a sore thumb. So anything you do is under a magnifying glass. And if you start your debating by putting the other person down, and we've seen that big debate. I'm coming back to the big leaders, Biden and Trump, and there were like people just fighting against each other. That's not a
Mm,
display of leadership.
mm.
Um, and and then you want to have the respect of a whole population, and it doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that you become disrespectful.
No, well, that's an entire war zone over there, as I say. But I think like one of the things that and we've kind of talked around this before in our earlier podcast. I can't remember which one it was, but
We have to find.
what again, Sam Walton, management by walking around. When you go to your staff and you start caring about your staff and knowing about your staff and being with your staff and understanding and listening to them, that is respect in action.
Mm. That's right. Respect comes from inner qualities rather than outer sort of extensions of your life. Respect doesn't come from, oh, I'm driving a beautiful fancy car and I live in a fancy house, which can be a side effect of being successful. It
Mm.
doesn't it doesn't necessarily induce the respect by itself. But you're right. Yeah, you need to embody this in your ways of being, and you want to have the knowledge and skills in a particular area that you want to be respected for. If you are a leader, you want to display leadership and not fall subject to accusing others, talking bad about them on a public stage. If that's all what you're talking about, it's very hard to gain respect, to receive respect.
And in the being framework, that would be having integrity
Hmm.
in the position, having the knowledge and the ability to deliver in the position which you fill. So there is work to be done here. There's no
Yeah,
no question about it. You just can't waltz up and have that credibility. You've got to have
yeah,
done
yeah,
the
yeah,
hours, done the learning,
yeah.
listened, worked hard, and continue to deliver that. But I want to explore this word trust because, you know, with respect, a genuine respect comes trustworthiness.
Yeah, yeah,
And in my experience, there's two huge factors there. One is your relationship with vulnerability, and the other one is your relationship with authenticity, and the third one is your relationship with integrity. Because if you are not prepared to be vulnerable with those from whom you would seek respect, if you're not prepared to find the courage to sometimes disagree, sometimes risk uh, approbation, dislike, You know, as a talk about it as a parent, a parent's job is not to be a friend, right? A parent's
No,
job is to raise a new adult, and
that's
leader's
right.
job is to raise new leaders, which means to say that you can't always just go along to get along. So you have to be prepared to make yourself vulnerable. And
Yeah.
that can start simply, as I say, go out, talk to your staff, be honest and open with them about your life. Tell them a little bit about your life. Be, be part of their world. You're never going to be their best buddy. That's not your job. But if you want them to trust you, then they've got to know a little bit about you.
Mhm.
They've got to get a feel of you as a human being. And that's that word again, being. So it's
Being.
about who you're turning up as, who you are
Mm.
being. If you're being respect, then you will do what is required to have the respect of others. Be, do, have. That's the way it
That
works.
that that's right. And also, I mean, you sort of pointed in a direction where if I'm as a leader don't hold my team to account, and hold them up to the highest standards, they lose respect for me. And it's really interesting. It just reminded me also of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had so high standards, and he didn't shy away from holding people to account. And the thing is, um, but then just consider, at least also in the times when he was still around, working for Apple, you just didn't work for any software development or hardware development company. This was a special place. So people want, if you want to sort of work in this arena, you comes back to you have to work hard, and you will be held to account. And that's what the people also want. Because if people would have been easy around things, people would, yeah, would lose the respect for a person. It's quite interesting how that works.
Yes, yes. And again, it comes to what happens there is you lose your top performers because they're going, well, hang on, you're not holding people to account here. And that means
Yes,
we're not going to get to our goal. I'm out of here because
that's right.
I'm here to get and my reputation's on the line here. I'm writing software for this situation, and if you're not holding people to account and making sure that you as the leader are cleaning up the messes.
That's right. People lose the respect because it's part of your job description to and being authentic, to hold
Hmm.
people to account rather than talking bad about them and not really resolving any issues. And I think not holding people to account, I find this has been a little bit lost. What I'm seeing with businesses and um, people I coach, that people shy away from holding each other to account because it's become a little bit of a polite and nice and uh, culture, wanting to be politically correct and not rocking the boat, which maybe 10, 15 years ago I didn't experience to that degree. And I think we have to be, well, we don't have to be. We want to go back to that. It's, becoming authentic. Just being nice and polite to another person. What is that? What does that even mean? Um, and it's hiding behind a sort of more comfortable facade rather than holding each other to account and aspiring for high standards.
Isn't this isn't this also though about openness? Like, so I was taught that nice means nothing and me cares enough to tell you the truth. So I'm being nice to you. Um,
You have so
but
many quotes. How do you remember them? It's like, wow, and here's another one.
yes, my sister would tell you I'm full of useless information. So
No, it's not useless.
well, there we go, self-deprecation again. But look, this accountability thing. One thing that's really important for our listeners to understand is accountability is a mirror you hold up to yourself first. Are you
Yeah,
being accountable?
and
Okay, so
and
you take responsibility, self-accountability, comes before you hold others to account, because the moment you go out there and you've not held yourself to account and you start holding others to account, guess what happens to the R word being respect? It is a goner. You're
Yeah,
gone.
it's gone, 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 gone.
Just like that. And you muck around with that one. Look, you can spend a lot of time building up respect and rapport with people, but the moment they feel that you are not holding yourself to the same levels of accountability as what you're holding them, she's over.
And yeah, and I think sometimes sort of holding people or yourself to account or being responsible has a little bit of a negative connotation. But it's not. It's actually an empowering state of being. You know, the whole world wants to be empowered, but if you hold yourself to account, oh, I've just, picked myself up on something that I would have let slip through, and I hold myself to account, I feel this sense of empowerment, or I'm holding responsibility for something. It's not like it doesn't have to be like a weight on my shoulder. Oh my God, no, I have to do this. You can just you hold this with grace, and maybe some level of pride as well.
Well, if you want to see the effect of holding oneself to account and taking responsibility, just have a quick peek at the Olympics. Nobody got there by luck.
No, no.
Nobody got there by luck. And you see this wonderful camaraderie. 99% there's always a bit of and people are people, right? But you see the respect that the athletes have for one another on the podium. And even for those that didn't get on the podium, because they all know they all did the work.
That's
Some did a
right.
little bit more work, some had a little bit better mental attitude, and they got where they got
Yeah,
to. But
yeah,
that's this is and I'm because straight through my head goes performance enhancing in drugs, and you think, well, yeah, there is that side of it, isn't it? Yeah. Well, let's just put that on the table and say, yes, that's inauthentic, and ultimately it has come out everywhere. It comes out,
mm,
and then you get
mm,
discredited. So you might have got your victory by shortcutting, by doing some less than integrous action, but it won't keep you up there, and it won't sustain your career. And
and
so if you do the hard work and you hold yourself to account, take responsibility, go all the way, do the work, and you'll get what you get. But it'll be a lot
yeah,
further than if you don't.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, if you have done this, I mean, this is not about blaming and shaming people here, but if you've done this, basically, as in you've cheated, or you took some, support that wasn't part of the agreements, as in in enhancing drugs. The thing is, you cheated on yourself. So this is, I don't want to blame and shame people here, but it's like it's disempowering because for yourself, because somehow down deep you know this, and it kind of, this is nagging a little bit,
Rots
and
your
you try
soul.
to suppress it, but oh yeah, I've done it. So um, and as you said, eventually it will come out, and then the respect goes way down, and we've seen this with some high performing athletes, which is a real shame. And then they were so celebrated and so amazing, and then this came out, and they were trying to hide it, and then the respect goes so down, which I find really a bit sad that this happens like this. But yeah,
So I think the point that we're making here, Jacqueline, is that ethics matter.
mm,
How
yeah,
your ethical framework matters.
yeah,
So again, a
yeah,
key point in gaining respect
yeah,
is how clear are you on your values
yeah.
and your ethics?
It is, and it's and and I've also, I mean, I've observed this in practice when I saw one of the leaders when I was still working in the corporate, and he had a really bad day, and I know he got um, almost like demoted in a leadership meeting, and in the afternoon he had to give a big presentation, and he took it in his stride, and he was out there and did the presentation knowing that after this presentation he's going to go somewhere else, and I respected him deeply for that. And
Mm,
he found his way back
mm,
um, after some time. And I think, wow, he didn't say, oh, I'm not doing this presentation, or I'm not doing this. No, he was out there as his usual him, and just took it in his stride.
mm. I remember I had a colleague once who lost a big contract to an unfair bid where it was pretty clear that this was not all kosher. But instead of getting upset about it, they made the decision to just say to the customer, "Well, we respect your decision, and it's yours to make. And if you do need us, then we will be here for you." 6 months later, the contract fell over and they got it back again, which was, the point being is there's no point in throwing sand in people's faces. If they do,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do wrong or do wrong by you. And you talk about a colleague who gave that presentation knowing he was about to get shifted sideways at the best, but
yeah,
still went through with it. He showed character, and
yeah.
that's again, where does respect come from? It's character.
That's right,
And then
right.
and of course he got back again. And
Yeah,
and life's like that. Goodness me, if you think you're going to get through life without bumps and bruises and getting your butt kicked, and you're not going to lose once or twice, well, you're not pushing hard enough, firstly. And well, quite frankly, you're not trying if you're not getting bumps and bruises. And you
that's
will get
that's right.
disappointments.
That's right. Um, if you put when you push hard enough and go to the next level, challenges will come your way. They will become bigger. It will, it can get messy, but don't lose your cool, and don't lose your respect for yourself and for others.
Yeah, know who you're being. Know who you're
Yeah,
being. And
yeah,
and know who you need to be. And this is where I do love Ashkan's work with the being framework.
yeah,
Yeah, and no, you've got the books up behind you there, and so have I. They're over there. Um,
yeah. Books here, yeah,
but
and we have
these
links
books, it helps. Yeah, we've got links down below too.
links in the description box also. Yeah, yeah.
But what I want to say is that, do that. There's some work you can go and do and understand how you as a human being function,
Hmm.
how you and learn about this framework that looks at 31 ways of being that are directly related to performance and leadership.
Hmm.
And if you think if you can build a healthy enough relationship with each of these key ways of being, you'll go a long, long way to earn the respect. Because again, I'll come back to what I said before. If you be respect, you'll do the actions that need to be done to enjoy the respect of others. Be, do,
Yeah,
have. It's the way it works. But that's the Ashcan's work gives you a very, very good idea of what it is. And I think these human beings available on audiobook as well.
that's right. Yes, yes, it is available on
I think
Kindle
Becoming is
or
too, isn't
read.
it? I think Carolyn
I
did
think
that one.
so. I think
Yeah.
becoming is also a human being and becoming,
Yeah.
not the big being book. That's a little bit too
That's a bit like an
reaching.
encyclopedia. I would suggest you start on it a bit. But the thing is, understand these are the things that we humans are uh, emotional animals that run on instinct and then use logics to justify what we do.
Yeah,
So, I remember learning that when I was selling cars. They said,
yeah,
nobody's ever going to buy a car because it's got XYZ feature. It's the fact that their friends will be jealous of
Yeah,
that.
it's based on a
That's
feeling and an emotion, and then, as you said, you back it up with logic. Oh, I'm going to buy this BMW now. Like coming from Germany, I had friends who were driving BMWs on a little side note, and they always felt the need. It's a little bit more expensive car, and they always felt the need to explain it. And said, well, it's a really economic car. They are really economic. I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Here we go. They wanted to drive a BMW. And then, I'm not blaming them. I said, just drive it, enjoy it.
so.
Um, and yeah, on a side note, they are actually considering really, really economic. Um,
But it's the emotional thing, and this is why I say so when we roll up in a workplace, who we are being, we're being judged by other animals, other sentient beings who
with respect,
whose
we take
minds are
this.
chattering just like yours, right? And mine, our brains are chattering, and we and so if you're calm, Tanya's got this cool saying, see if I can get it right. The universe surrenders to a calm mind.
Um,
Cool, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not
Here's
sure
another
what I've,
quote.
yeah,
Any quotes
I'm
did
quoting
you
my
have
partner,
today?
Tanya Caprioli, so you can find out about her at the method.com. But um, when you think about that and you're into that work environment and you're looking for to build respect, to gain respect, calm mind. Calm mind is a great place to start because that gives you the opportunity to respond, not react. Reacting is not good for respect.
Mm.
Responding's good. So knowledge, trust. Goodness me, there's a whole lot here, isn't there, Jacqueline? It's
Yeah,
just
it's like there
I need
is
a
a
big
whole
buck,
lot of.
big box or a big bucket to carry this around.
I mean, I also probably similar to you. I get these questions a lot, like, how can I, how do I gain respect? How do I become present? There's not always an easy answer to it. And it's not like, oh, you do this one thing and then you gain respect, or you do this one thing and then you are being present. No, it's a practice, and it involves various aspects of being that you want to focus on and improve on. So it's like a whole life practice. You don't become and coming back to Steve Jobs, you don't become such a big leader as Steve Jobs was without practice. He started in a little garage with his co-founder. He wasn't the big leader when he started, and it's a lifelong practice.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I do think that we have exhausted today's topic.
Look, I just want to throw one
Yeah,
more quote in if I can. Socrates, to
Socrates,
know
are
thyself
you?
is the beginning of wisdom.
Can you? I think I'd get into this. Maybe repeat it.
So, so from Socrates, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom.
Mm.
And it is also the beginning of respect because start knowing what you are doing that is bringing on the lack of respect and start being somebody else who will do what is going to gain respect. So
Mm.
first, I've heard of first know thyself, but it actually is to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom.
And it's a
I'm done.
lifelong journey. That's a
Yep.
lifelong journey. It never ends.
Like our podcast. So we'll be back. We'll be
Like our
back.
podcast. Yes.
Hope you got
That would,
something from that, and we'll be back with another cool subject. And you've got something to suggest, let
yeah,
us know. Just jump on the email and let us know what you'd like us
yeah,
to have a go with. Anyway,
yeah.
until next time. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Bye.